Okay, hello, I'm Robert Breaker, and I was gonna not do a video about this. I was kind of thinking, this is really something that I'm not that interested in or don't want to talk about. But then it hit me, I need to explain this so that people understand what's going on and so people can be safe. Because there's a lot less safety in the world today, and I just want people to be safe. So let me explain a little bit about what's going on, but before I do, let me go ahead and read you some Bible verses. And then we're going to talk about this school shooting in Parkland, Florida that took place. Now, I live in Florida, and luckily it was not that close to me. It was quite a far away, I think probably 10 hours. It was down in South Florida. But I got this email today. And I got a hold of this email, and it says, "Hi, how many school shootings will continue to take place in our country? How many innocent children must die? How many families will continue to bury their loved ones? We're living in perilous times." Now, I'll get back to this little email here in a second. But that's exactly what the Bible says. That's exactly what the Bible says. I want to read this Bible verse here to you because we definitely are in the last days. I believe we're very close to the coming of Jesus Christ, and He's coming soon. But the Bible tells us, and it gives us a warning, and that's what I want this video to be. I want it to be a warning. I want you to know what's going on and be warned so that in case something like this happens again, you'll be safe. Because it's very easy to see when these things take place, what it is, and it's like there's a pattern. They're taking place over and over, and the same exact things happen every time. So I want you to see that, and I want you to be safe. But the Bible tells us here in 2 Timothy chapter 3, know this also. All right, there's something that we should know according to the Bible. That in the last days, perilous times shall come. Perilous times. Why, that's what this little email that someone sent me says. It's perilous times. What, are they reading their Bible? I doubt it, because when I found out who this email was from, I said, well, they're not the Bible. They don't love God or the Bible. So we have perilous times. Okay, let's go back to the Bible here real quick. It says to be careful. Know this, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. These are all the kind of people that will be in the last days that we have to watch out for. Verse 4 says there'll be traitors. What's a traitor? Someone who's against their country and the laws of their country. They'll be traitors. They'll be heady. They'll be high-minded. Lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God. Verse 5, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. We should turn away from such people. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. They target women for some reason, these evil, wicked people in these last days. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith. So in the last days there will be people that are corrupt. They are reprobate, and they resist the truth. It's almost like they cannot tell the truth for anything. Now verse 9 says, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be made manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. See, there'll be people in the last days that are doing things that are folly, and they think they're going to get away with it. But they're evil, they're corrupt, they're wicked, they're traitors, they're high-minded, they're heady, they're truce breakers, they're false accusers. They're evil people. But the Bible says, but their folly will be made manifest unto all men. Everyone's going to see what they're doing, and it's wrong. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians now. Before I get to what I want to get to, I just want to give you a couple of verses here. The Bible is talking about that in the last days, there's going to be the Antichrist that comes. And the Antichrist is going to come upon the scene, and he is wicked. And the Bible talks to us about him. He's called the son of perdition. He's a very evil man, and he comes, and here's what he does. Verse 9, it says, whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So the Antichrist comes with signs and wonders, but he lies. He's a liar. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth that they might be saved. Again, you see this theme? You won't be given the truth. In the last days, somebody comes along to lie to you and doesn't want you to have truth. It says in verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth that they might be saved. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So in these last days, when the Antichrist comes on the scene and he begins to rule, the way you know the Antichrist is he's a liar. And what he's trying to do is bring you a lie that you will believe. And God says here in the Bible, look, I'll let you believe the lie. God says, look, I'll even send you that lie to believe if you don't want to believe in me. And a lot of the people in the world today, they don't want to believe in God anymore. They want to turn from God. And so God says, well, you want to turn from me? Well, then I'll just give you the lie that you can believe, because you're going to believe a lie anyway. And it says that there will be many people who have a strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Now, why do people believe a lie? It's right here in verse 10, because they have not a love of the truth. And then in verse 12, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Do you know why people believe lies? Because they don't love the truth. The Bible is the truth. And because they love pleasure. They love sinful wickedness. They love being dirty and evil and corrupt and wicked. And because of that, God will allow them to be deceived. But look what it says, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth. The truth is out there. You need the truth. The truth is what it is. It's the truth. And there's a lot of truth out there today, but very few people want to believe it. There's a lot of people out there today that say, oh, well, I don't know what the truth is, so I'm not worried about it. And oh, well, I just believe the narrative that I'm fed. Well, I hate to say it, but you're lied to daily on the news media. I can hardly turn on the news without going, that's a lie, that's a lie. There are so many lies propagated in the name of news today that it's unreal. It's unreal. So I got up this morning and I got this email, and it says, hi, how many school shootings will there continue to take place? And this is in reference to this school shooting down in Parkland, Florida, which I think is quite interesting. I was looking at this shooting in Parkland, Florida, and I'm going, what? Every time there's a shooting, there's people that always go to the internet, and they'll make videos about the numbers, and they'll make videos about the, what do they call it? This geometria, or whatever, gematria. And they say that these school shootings, they were all set up, not by those who claim to have done them, but by people behind the scenes. And they're all set up on certain dates to happen at certain times, and they all mean something. And so when this shooting took place, I thought, I don't know if I believe those videos, but I'm just going to look at this. And I looked at it and I thought, man, weird. Really weird. They'll go to words and say within words are other words that kind of prove. Now the Bible talks about this. The Bible says in, I believe it's Daniel, I can't remember exactly, but it talks about those that understand dark sentences. Now if you know how the devil works, the devil, he usually reads things backwards, or he'll take a word and use a word that within that word contains another word. And this all has to do with witchcraft and Satanism and how the devil works. But it can't be denied that there's something to it. Now, as a Christian, I want nothing to do with it, but yet I can't help but see there's something to this. So when something evil takes place, you begin to look at the details of the evil that took place, and within the words themselves, there's weird stuff that come up. So I looked at this up. I stayed up one night a little bit. I said, okay, Parkland, Florida. Let's change the letters around of Park and Florida and Parkland. And the word prank is in the word Parkland. And Florida, I've always said, is the greatest state in the world, because Florida is the only state with L-O-R-D in it. Amen. But you look at the name of this shooter, and the name of the shooter was Nicolas Cruz de Jesus. It took place in a state with the Lord in it. And the name of the so-called shooter, and I say so-called because we're going to show you here in a minute that I wonder if this guy really did this. But the news media is telling us, the official story, is that a man named Nicolas Cruz de Jesus killed a bunch of children with a gun. Well, Nicholas was the patron saint of children. Cruz de Jesus is Spanish for the cross of Christ. as we look at things like this, are we supposed to be reminded, hey, look to Jesus, look to the cross for salvation? Because there's bad people out there that want to hurt you, and only Jesus is the answer. The sheriff's name in Parkland, Florida was Sheriff Israel. Why Israel? Why Jesus is the God of Israel. The Lord is the God of Israel. You know, these are all just little coincidences. Wink, wink. But anyway, I'm looking at this. It happened on Valentine's Day. Why St. Valentine's supposedly is what? The saint of love or whatever they say. It happened on Valentine's Day, and it happened in Broward County. Do you know the word arrow is found in the word Broward County? You know, you shoot an arrow. You shoot an arrow on Valentine's Day, and there was a shooting on Valentine's Day. But it's coincidence. Yeah, just coincidence. And what's interesting is this took place, and it took place at a Douglas High. You rearrange the letters, you get the word ghoulish. This ghoulish massacre. This ghoulish... Oh, massacre? Well, there was a St. Valentine's Day massacre. That's interesting. Well, the same day that this took place, there was a drill. Now, what they did is they took this Cruz guy, and they said he's the guy that did it, and then they said, now, it's all mental illness. It's all mental illness. Well, what is the word drill? If you separate the word drill, you get DR, well, that's short for doctor, and ill. What do you need a doctor for when you're ill? Mental illness. You say, what are you doing? This is... Well, yeah, it is weird. I'm just... There are a lot of YouTube videos that do this, all right? So, tongue-in-cheek, I'm kind of making fun of them, all right? But I'm also at the same time going, wow, All right, so here's what happened. This thing happened on Ash Wednesday. You rearrange the letters of Ash Wednesday, you get deadness. Just a coincidence, I guess. But it was a mass shooting. What do people do on Ash Wednesday? They go to mass. A mass shooting. There's just so many things here that you take. Here's what I thought was interesting. As soon as this shooting took place, as soon as they began to start shooting people at this school, the first thing you hear is gun control, we gotta have gun control. Isn't that something that's the first thing they go to when something like this takes place? Take away your guns, you pay for what somebody else did. Why should I have to give up my guns because some guy did something stupid? If you're going to pass a law against guys like that. Why make... There's an agenda. So I looked up the word gun control because that's the word I was hearing. And there's this website you go to and you type in, and it shows you all the letters and words within words. And the first one was control. C-O-N-T-R-O-U-L. Control. I'd never heard of this word control before. But the word control means a spiritual agency that is assumed to assist the medium during a seance. And so I just took a little bit of time one night and just went through and did like these people do on YouTube, you know, looking up different things. And I said, this is odd how many different ways when you rearrange letters and such that it points to something satanic, ghoulish, evil, seances, massacres, deadness. It's just weird. And I said, well, maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's not. I don't know. But this is what I do know. And this is what I'm going to tell you that I know because I want you to get a hold of this. Are you ready for this? Get this email this morning. And it's sent to me, this email, to try to make me think that the person that's sending this email is against new gun laws. So it says here, we are living in perilous times. Yeah, the Bible says so. Times in which evil has become good and good evil. Well, that's a Bible verse. And then underlined it says, take a stand against new gun laws. And so you read this, you think, oh, these people are against gun laws. They're against the gun control groups. No, this is an email that is a lie that's trying to get me to sign a petition to be against guns. While at the same time, it's saying being against gun laws. That is why, yada, 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 and you read here, it says, make our country safe, do something about the Second Amendment. What do you mean, do something about the Second Amendment? We already have a Second Amendment. What do we need to do about it? Well, if you go to these people are MoveOn.org. Okay, so let's go to MoveOn.org and see who these people are. And we go over here to the internet, we put in MoveOn.org, and we find something interesting. MoveOn.org is an organization that is against guns. It says, make our country safe. And it continues here, and it talks about what they say that you should do. And it says to make the country safe. It says to do all these things. And it wants me to sign up. And it wants me to sign on this thing and sign a petition to go to and say do something about the Second Amendment. All right, so MoveOn.org. What is MoveOn.org? Well, let's go to MoveOn.org and let's find out who these people are that are so quick to jump upon this school shooting to try to get rid of guns. Why, MoveOn.org, that's Democracy in Action. Oh, I know who MoveOn.org is. A matter of fact, let me go over here. I wrote all this down here in order to be able to go in order. But MoveOn.org, according to Wikipedia, is a progressive socialist movement or website. Now, let's read this here. Wikipedia MoveOn.org is a progressive public policy advocacy group and political action committee. And it was formed in response to the impeachment of Bill Clinton. So it's pro-democrat, pro-progressive, and progressive is a short for socialist. Now, what is a socialist? This is a socialist organization. And socialism is one step away from communism. So I don't believe it's too far of a jump to say that this is a pro-communist movement. And so here's what we got here. Here's a quote by Vladimir Lenin. And I quote, "The goal of socialism is communism." So anytime you see progressive, think socialist, because that's what progressives are. And anytime you see socialist or socialism, think full-fledged communism, because that is the goal of socialism, is communism. A socialist or a progressive is a communist. Now, did you know that the Nazi Party were a German socialist party? So Hitler was a socialist. Hitler was a Nazi. Who funds MoveOn.org? MoveOn.org is funded by a man named George Soros, who was a Nazi collaborator. Let's go here and let me show you this. And I like to say, a lot of people don't know. The Bible says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Here this is DiscoverTheNetworks.org, the guide to the political left. Okay, so this is a leftist organization. Leftists are communist or socialist. This man, George Soros, funds all these different things. He pays money for all these different causes, and when you look at them, they're all communist. And who funds MoveOn.org? Why, let's go down to MO, and there it is. MoveOn.org is one of the organizations of the left that is funded by George Soros. Okay, so MoveOn.org is a communist, because socialism's goal is communism, is a communist front. Now, what is communism? Why, communism is to overthrow governments by revolution, by bloody revolution. That's communism in a nutshell. I want you to see who this guy is named George Soros.
You're a Hungarian.
This is an interview of George Soros
who escaped the
by
Holocaust.
some fella. George Soros was a Jew in World War II that rejected his own people and pointed out people that were Jews. Now watch this.
By posing as a Christian.
Right.
And you watched lots of people get shipped off to the death camps.
Right. I was 14 years old. And I would say that that's when my character was made.
In what way?
That one should think ahead, one should understand and anticipate events, and one is threatened. It was a tremendous threat of evil. I mean, it was a very personal experience of evil.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection.
This guy's saying, no, it wasn't a problem for me to work with the Nazis and steal people's property. No, that was no big deal. We confiscated things from people. Remember that word, confiscate, because I'm going to talk about gun confiscation here in a minute and how this all ties together. But this is a man who funds these organizations that want to take away people's guns. And he says, no, it was fine. I had no problem working with the Nazis, socialists.
But it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
For example, that I'm Jewish, and here I am watching these people go. I could just as easily be there. I should be there. None of that.
Well, of course, I could be on the other side, or I could be the one from whom the thing is being taken away. But there was no sense that I shouldn't be there, because that was well, actually, funny way, it's just like in markets, that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow.
Oh, everybody else is doing it, and I might as well, because if it wasn't me, it'd be somebody else. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, the Nazi Holocaust is funny. Yeah, it's funny that over 6 million Jews were murdered. Yeah, ha ha ha, and stolen from. Really funny.
And it was whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator. The property was being taken away. So
because you took them to the place to take it
in
from.
Taking away that property. So I had no sense of guilt.
Do you see how he justified in his own mind? Oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Yet you took them to the house where the Nazis would not even have known where to go had he not done that. So this Nazi collaborator, George Soros, was helping the Nazi party in World War II, which were, what? Socialist. So Soros is a Nazi collaborator who funds anti-gun, progressive, socialist, communist organizations. Now what end? He was helping the Socialist Party of Germany, the Nazis, back then. Now he's funding, and I showed you this great long list, of socialists today. He never got the socialism out of him. What is a socialist? Communist, because the goal of socialism is communism. So what is the end? What is the reason that George Soros is funding all these socialist, might as well just call them what they are, communist groups? Is it to overthrow governments? That's what communists do. They start revolutions. How would you do it? How would you do it? Well, the way you start a revolution is order out of chaos. You make chaos, and then in that chaos, you come in and you take all the guns. Gun control or gun confiscation is the way that communists take over countries. And once they take all the guns, then they go in and they kill all the people. Let me show you this. Communism is the absolute worst political regime that has ever existed on the face of the earth. The following are 147 million reasons to not become a communist. The Soviet Union killed 61 million people. Communist China killed 35 million people. Nazi Germany, 30 million people. Nationalist regime, 10 million. Japan, Cambodia, Turkey, Vietnam, Poland, Pakistan, Yugoslavia, North Korea, Mexico. There's 147 million people that have been killed by communism. That's why we, who are true Americans, want nothing to do with socialism or communism. We know that it's a murderous regime, and the way that communism or socialism takes over is they go after your guns. When they get your guns, then they kill you. And history proves that communism has killed more people than anyone ever in the history of the world. Let me show you this. I gotta be able to see the camera here. Here's something here. I'm going to read these to you. Here's old Nazi Hitler, the socialist. The most foolish mistake we could possibly make would be allow the subject races to possess arms. History shows that all conquerors who have allowed their subject races to carry arms have prepared their own downfall by doing so. So the goal of the socialists or the communists in order to take over is we've got to get rid of guns. Here's this guy, Joseph Stalin. We don't let them have ideas. Why would we let them have guns? It's like communism is you can't think for yourself. You just do. You're our slave. Why would we let a slave have a gun? Vladimir Lenin. One man with a gun can control 100 without one. Yes, very true. Here's Mao Zedong, a great murderer, an evil murderer. All political power comes from the barrel of a gun. The Communist Party must command all the guns. That way no guns can ever be used to command the party. So when you start to understand this issue of gun control, you understand it is power-hungry madmen who want to take away the guns of the good people in order to take over, disarm, and kill people. Now, there are people that claim to be progressives. Progressives hate the Constitution of the United States. But when you look at the United States of America, you find the United States of America is one of the greatest nations, the most blessed, the richest nation on earth. Why is that? It's because America was founded on God and the Bible. Now, before I go any further, let me say this. Communism hates God and the Bible. The Boxer Rebellion, the rebellion of the Russians against the Tsar. As soon as they took power, they kicked out all men of God, all missionaries. They got rid of Bibles. They said no God in a communist regime. When communism takes over, the state becomes God. That's why you should never want a socialist or communist government, because socialism's goal is communism. If you allow a government to become socialist, it will be communist. And if it becomes socialist, then it will eventually kill you, because its goal is to kill people. That's what the goal of communism is. And communism is no God. We will not have God. The state is God. Well, the great thing about the United States of America is we recognize God. In our founding documents, we have God. Here's the Declaration of Independence. The laws of nature and of nature's God. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by their Creator, the Creator God, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and originally it said property, but they changed it to pursuit of happiness. But the Constitution of the United States of America recognizes God as He who gives us those unalienable rights. Those are rights that you can't put a lien on. Lien means you can take it from someone. Have you ever bought a vehicle or bought a car or something, and on it it says, are there any liens? A lien means somebody else owns it. Somebody else has a claim to it. So we have unalienable rights in the United States of America. That means these are rights given to us by God that no man can take away. One of those rights is the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is not a right given by the state. The Founding Fathers are writing down, these are the rights that we believe God gave to man. So God gives man the right to bear arms. Here's some quotes from the early Founding Fathers and other people. An armed man is a citizen, a disarmed man is a subject. To disarm the people is the most effectual way to enslave them. It is the duty of the patriot to protect his country from his government. The best we can help for concerning the people at large is they be properly armed. Alexander Hamilton. The great object is that every man be armed, and everyone who is able may have a gun. Patrick Henry. Those who hammer their guns into plowshares will plow for those who do not. Thomas Jefferson. Right, will be slaves. A free people ought to be armed. George Washington. Thomas Paine. Horrid mischief would ensue were the law-abiding deprived of the use of them. Guns. Thomas Paine. Those who would give up liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve and will have neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. No man shall ever be debarred the use of arms. Thomas Jefferson. Before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed, and they are in almost every country in Europe. Noah Webster. Americans have the right and advantage of being armed, unlike the people of other countries whose leaders are afraid to trust them with arms. James Madison. The people are not to be disarmed of their weapons, they are in full possession of them. Zechariah Johnson. Alexander Hamilton. The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms. Alexander Hamilton. Yet, after every school shooting, they want to do gun control and take away our right to bear arms. I don't get it. Do they even read the Constitution? The only conclusion I can come to is they don't believe in God. That's why they pee on the Constitution openly and spit on it. The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms. Alexander Hamilton. Richard Henry Lee. To preserve liberty, it is essential that the whole body of the people always possess arms and be taught alike, especially when young, how to use them. Richard Henry Lee. The greatest danger to American freedom is a government that ignores the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Thomas Jefferson. The constitutions of most of our states assert that all power is inherent in the people and that it is our right and duty to be armed at all times. To be all times armed. Thomas Jefferson. And I could go on and on and on reading all of this, but the United States of America was founded on the right to bear arms. And it was a right that men believed came from God. Now it's interesting that we see that the main proponents of gun confiscation are people that are funded by an ex-Nazi. Isn't that interesting? And the progressives and the socialists and the communists are avowed God haters. They hate God. I've never met a Christian communist. Communists are radicals. They're revolutionaries. They want blood. They want people to die. They don't believe in God. So do you see when the Bible says that perilous times shall come, the perilous people, the ones that we that are Christians are warned about, are the communists, or the socialists, or the Nazis. They're the ones that bring the peril. They're the ones that want to kill and destroy. So socialism, communism are all control about taking away guns. They are anti-God. They don't allow God in their regimes. All communist countries kick God in the Bible out. They set up a state as God. We've read the Constitution, how the right to bear arms is a God-given right. God gives man the right to have guns. Communists don't want that. So what would they do? They look for ways to get your guns. And rather than take them openly, door to door, communists are sneaky. The old saying within the communist regimes was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Little by little, they erode away your rights to get what they want from you. So what will they do? Well, they will try to do things in certain ways in order to get your guns. And rather than taking them from you, well, they will try to make it where you just want to give them away. They want to brainwash. They want to teach you that, oh, you don't need guns, and they make you want to give them up. Hence the school shootings. Parkland, Florida shooting was one of many, and they all have the same MO, modus operandi. They all start with something fishy, and then the narrative is changed. Why? This Parkland, Florida shooting, I was glued to the TV listening to it, and they said that the guy that did it was 19 years old, and yet he was a student in the school. And I'm thinking, 19, well, he would be graduated by then. And then they said, but he was kicked out of school, he was expelled. All right, what was the kid doing at school then if he was expelled? I mean, there's all these questions. Every time a school shooting takes place, you're like, huh? Does not compute. How can you say one thing and say the other, and they don't line up? And then it's every day after that you see how they start to change the narrative to make it the way they want it to be. But it's too late. I can't forget what they'd already said. Parkland shooting was fishy. Why? As soon as it happened, the liberals came out of the woodwork and said, well, this is a terrible tragedy. What we need is gun control because of these shootings. Now, wait a minute. Why is it every time there's a school shooting, the first thing that you liberal, progressive, socialist, i.e. communists do, is pound your pulpit and say, we got to take away your guns so that this doesn't happen again? I was watching the news and I saw in Colorado, they decided to go the other way. They decided to arm the teachers. I said, ha-ha, gun control is not the answer. More guns is the answer. Someone asked me once this shooting took place in Parkland, Florida, what I thought was the problem. And they said, don't you want to say hashtag gun control? Aren't guns the problem? And I said, no, you know what I think is the problem? I think we should have hashtag no property tax. Because to me, that's the problem. You see, property tax is a communist ideal. It's not in the Constitution. Founding fathers weren't in favor of taxes. They said the power to tax is the power to control. You know what built that school in Parkland, Florida? Taxes. But no one's running around saying, taxes are the reason those kids got killed. We need to stop taxes because had we not taxed people, then we wouldn't have built that school where the guys got killed. No, they don't talk about that. They talk about, no, we got to get rid of guns. Guns are the problem. No, they're not. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. So the guns did not kill those people if they were killed. The problem is you set up a place with packed taxes to where people go and can be slaughtered. Maybe we shouldn't have public schools. Ever thought of that? Anyway, this Parkland, Florida thing was all about gun control. Was Parkland, Florida any different than Sandy Hook and Newtown and the Boston bombing and the Aurora thing and all these other Columbines? Some of the same things that happened in those shootings took place in this shooting. And here's something. I've watched over the years all these shootings in schools, and it's so amazing to me how as soon as they take place, the news reports there was 2 or 3 shooters. But then after days and weeks and months, there was only one person, and he was some crazy guy that was on drugs. You know, not illegal drugs. He was on over-the-counter or prescription drugs. Well, this shooting in Lakeland took place, and when it did, something interesting took place. What took place? There was actually several witnesses that says no, there wasn't one shooter. There were several shooters. And this is a common thing that takes place often, is when these shootings take place, there's always more than one shooter. But then quickly the news media covers it up and says, no, there was only one person. I'm going to show you 2 examples because I want you to think for yourself. Now that's probably the greatest crime in the century, to think for yourself. Communists do not allow a First or Second Amendment. Communists do not want you to think for yourself. But they're telling you now in the news media that this one little 19-year-old boy did this entire shooting and that no one else was there to do the shooting. Let's listen to 2 students that claim to have been there. I say they claim to have been there, and this is what they claim as their eyewitness account.
So they started shooting from the first floor up, because there's only 2 exits in the freshman building, so everybody started running to the other exits, but that's when the other shooter started coming up. So everybody, and then
Did you hear that? That's when the other shooter started coming up? This person who claims to have been there, I don't know if they were, says that there was more than one shooter.
Thank God to this teacher who opened up her door, and then all of a sudden, she got shot in the arm trying to open the door, and then the other teacher, he got shot in the head trying to cut the other students, and it was like an hour, like we felt like years waiting for them, and after all that, we finally got out, and like they started yelling at us to keep focused and pay attention ahead, the army people, because they didn't want us to see the bodies that they hid in the corner. They were putting mats over them so we wouldn't see them, but there was dust all over the floor from
Listen to her. Listen to this.
like this weird thing they threw in there. They were trying to.
So you think there was more than? Do you think there was more than one
There's
shooter?
3 shootings. Definitely.
So here's one witness that was in that school at the time who said the army people were there, but she said there were definitely 3 shooters. You were told on the news media day after day after day after day after day there was only one shooter, and it was this one fella named whatever, Nicholas Cruz or whatever. Okay, all right. I would like to believe that if it was true. But I'm warned in the Bible to be careful, because in the last days there will be corrupt people who lie. And they will try to send a lie, and that I better be careful that I don't swallow that lie. Because there will be strong delusion in the last days in which people will believe a lie. Now listen to this young lady. This young lady knew Nicholas Cruz and claims to have been in the school at the time of this shooting and says she saw Nicholas Cruz there. Listen to her testimony.
I actually was in the bathroom at the moment, and I came back to my classroom and I knocked on the door, and the fire alarm went off, and principal came on the speaker and just said everyone needs to evacuate right now. So that's what we did. As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but he was trouble in middle school, so I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh? So that's really
Really?
what happened.
You were walking down the hall. He had already fired at that time.
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
Did you hear what she said? She said, I was with the guy that they are telling us on the news was the shooter. He had no gun in his hand. He was walking around. She says, haha, hey, I heard shooting. I thought maybe you were the one that was doing it, haha, because I know you're a bad kid. And he goes, huh? Where was the gun in his hand?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was obviously definitely another shooter involved.
What? There was definitely another. That's the second witness that says there was definitely more than one shooter.
But
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
no, definitely not.
Huh.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be two shooters involved, I believe.
That's the first I've heard of that.
So there definitely had to be two shooters at least. The other lady said 3. So what do we do with this information? How could there be more than one shooter? What's the deal? These ladies say there was more than one shooter. Now, here's the other thing. There was also a drill at the time. When you start looking into these school shootings, you know what you find? It's not just this Parkland, Florida thing. These other school shootings, the first thing to come out is, well, I thought there was more than one shooter. And there was always a drill around the time of that shooting or on the actual day of the shooting. Now, you've got to look at this, and you've got to study this for yourself. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, if you will, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm not presenting conspiracies. All I'm doing is I'm throwing this out here because I want to make a point at the end of this, because I want people to be safe. And so the reason I'm explaining all of this is I want to show you how you can be safe from these things happening to you. And that's my motive. I'm not attacking or putting anyone down. I'm questioning. I believe it was the progressives in the 1960s that used to run around and say question everything. So, you know, that if it's okay for the socialist progressives to say question everything, then maybe it's okay for me to question everything. I mean, I'm just following what they say. Here's a video here I don't have time to get into, but according to this video, and it's because the audio is so low I can't even hear what she's saying, but this supposedly is a witness who says that the same day there would be a drill. The teachers were saying that the same day there might be a drill, so be ready for a drill. And then a drill comes, and at the drill, people get killed for real during a drill. Why, if this was just one thing, it'd make you just go, huh, but when you hear this over and over and over in each school shooting, it makes you go, huh, could someone else be behind all this? Could someone else be planning these things and during drills actually killing people and then blaming a scapegoat, all for an agenda of trying to push gun control? No, could never be, right? Interesting.
Joining us now is
Let's
Melissa
put this here at
Folkowski.
the, I think it was the 143 mark.
Initially, I thought they would.
Now listen to this lady. She claims to be a teacher at this school. Listen to what she
To
said.
disappear, basically, is what they taught us, to move out of sight and to be silent and quiet. And after, initially I thought it was just a drill, because we had been told we would have an active shooter drill this semester.
What? I thought that this Parkland shooting on Valentine's Day was just a drill, this teacher says, because we were told that there would be an active shooter drill coming soon. Was there an active shooter drill actually taking place? And that's what that was a drill? And during that drill, someone got killed? If so, that's pretty crazy. You know why that's crazy? Because at almost every one of these school shootings, that immediately these communists come out and attack guns and say we need gun control, almost immediately after every one of these shootings, it comes out that there was a drill taking place at the exact same time. Now, either the truth is the people that are doing the drill is behind all this, or we have the greatest coincidence ever in the history of the world taking place, that every time there's a drill in a school, some crazy lone gunman comes in and he just happens to time it to when there was a drill there. I mean, you would think if there was a drill going on, he would see all these guys with guns and he wouldn't go into that school and shoot. But no, just bad luck, I guess. He always comes in at a drill and kills people. One drill per year, and yet he just always seems to happen to find that shooter the day that the drill is taking place to go in and do the shooting. Or could there be something to it? Now, we have some people within our government who have ruled in our government who hate guns. And they believe in what's called the communist practice of brainwashing. And their goal, their desire, is to brainwash people about guns. Let's listen.
We're going to have, as part of the gun initiative, though, an informational campaign to really change the hearts and minds of people in Washington, D.C., and in particular our young people. They are saturated in the media and in entertainment, or by the entertainment industry, with violence. And I think too many of our young people, in particular our young men, are fascinated with violence and in particular fascinated with guns. And what we need to do is change the way in which people think about guns, especially young people, and make it something that's not cool, that it's not acceptable, it's not hip to carry a gun anymore. In the way in which we've changed our attitudes about cigarettes. You know, when I was growing up, people smoked all the time. I mean, both my parents did. But over time, we changed the way in which people thought about smoking, and so now we have people who cower outside of buildings and kind of smoke in private and don't want to admit it.
So basically what this fellow's saying, who used to be the U.S. Attorney of America, is we need to make people think something other than the way they think. That's communism in a nutshell. Control your mind. This political correctness movement, political correctness is from communism. It's making you think the way the state wants you to think. That's slavery, by the way.
And that's what I think we need to do with guns. Really change the way in which people think about guns. Now, this is not going to be something that's very easy to do because we are, quite frankly, fighting something that appears, every day on television, on the radio, in our popular music, in movies that these kids are exposed to. It will be an effort that will entail things that I'm really not familiar with. I think I'm a pretty good lawyer, but we need to get really innovative, creative things that are going to grab the attention of these kids and change, as I said, the way in which they think about guns. And so what I've asked is that the creative community in Washington, those ad agencies that create these snappy ads and make me buy things that I don't really need, devote that talent in a more constructive way so we can get at the minds of these young people. This informational campaign, I've also called on the newspapers and the television stations to devote to us time and space so that we can get these ads, so we can use these spots, and not to give us 1, 2 o'clock in the morning ads when nobody's watching, but at the time when people, particularly young people, are watching television, so that when they're watching, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Martin or whatever else they watch, and I watch those things once in a while, so that they'll see these ads and they'll be grabbed by these ads. I've also asked people who have influence over youngsters, entertainers, athletes, to be involved in this program as well. But not only them, community leaders, Jesse Jackson, Mayor Barry, people who have credibility with young people should be on the television, on the radio, as much as we possibly can, and telling these youngsters that it's wrong to carry a gun, and that if you have information about people who are carrying guns, you've got to share that with Chief Thomas and with his people as well. I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
What? We need to brainwash people. No, we don't need to brainwash anyone. We have the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and the freedom to carry guns in the United States of America. But he's saying, no, we need to get rid of that. We need to change the way you think.
We
Communism.
also want to have a
Communism.
hotline that we will set up and have the number of that hotline.
A lot of folks
that you
haven't
just
seen
go out
this.
there, and that would be
But there's an agenda that the progressive Democrats have. It's an agenda. And what is the agenda? To get your guns. They want to brainwash you. They want you to think differently about guns. Could someone be behind these shootings other than those who claimed they did them? What if, and boy, this is probably a stretch. Yeah, this probably isn't true, so, but I'm just going to throw it out there anyway. But what if communists in the United States of America were behind all these shootings? And what if they were the ones doing this to try to brainwash us into giving up our guns? You ever heard of Operation Northwoods? If not, look it up. I don't have time to go there. But it was a program in which those within power said it would be okay to do some sort of false flag. See, this is where the word false flag comes from. To do a false flag event. If you want to have some fun one day, go to YouTube and type in false flag. And find out what a false flag is. A false flag is pretending to do something that you didn't do in order to brainwash people and make them think something that's not true. Boston bombing. You ever heard of the Boston bombing? A lot of people have. Do you remember the Boston bombing? Did you know there was a drill taking place at the very same time of the Boston bombing? A lot of people, you say, hey, you hear about the Boston bombing? Yeah, that was horrible, man. All those people killed. Now that we look on it backwards, we find out there was a drill taking place at the very same time that the Boston bombing took place. Listen to this.
We did have some patients with burns, including one patient with fairly significant burns.
Doctor, do you know why the SWAT teams are out front and why the lockdown is here?
I don't actually. I knew we were locked down because we typically do that, even in drills like this.
The Boston bombing was a drill. There was a drill going on at the same exact time that the so-called Boston bombing took place. And what happened right after the Boston bombing? Oh, gun control, gun control, gun control. But yet it was a drill. What is this here? Here's something.
I'm Melissa Melton here with Aaron Dykes, and we're reporting for bags. They've also shut down
this is all
cell
about
phone
the
service all
Boston
over
bombing.
Boston to
Now, I remember when the Boston bombing took place, I saw this online. The Boston Globe put out in their paper online, there will be a drill and a bomb explosion at such and such a time. And so you get time, you go to YouTube and you look these things up. They kept making announcements at the loudspeaker that this is just a drill.
It's just a drill. We've heard this all before. It happened in 9/11. There were drills in conjunction with Newtown. There were drills in
There were drills on 9/11. I didn't even get to talk about 9/11. It seems like every time there's a drill, somebody gets killed. Every time there's a drill, there's a mass shooting or a mass bombing or a mass killing. So what I did is I want to make this video today to warn you, body of Christ, you who are saved, to watch out. If you are ever in a place, in a school, in a church, in a mall, or anywhere, and they yell, this is a drill, we're holding a drill, get out and get out now, because during all these drills is when people get killed. Now, it's just so odd that mass murderers just seem to flock to drills. I don't know how they just know where to show up, where drills are. But if you're ever in a place where there's a drill, you need to get the heck out of Dodge. We are in perilous times, and the way to stay away from those perilous times is to stay away from drills. Here's one. Sandy Hook hoax debunked. 26 Christmas trees. There was a shooting at Sandy Hook. 26 people were supposedly killed. I don't know if they were. I never saw the bodies. It's hard to know how much of this is true, how much of it is false. There's videos all over YouTube, and YouTube is a great place for truth, but yet it's hard to know what's the truth because it's also a great place to disseminate lies. But when Sandy Hook was taking place, I watched it on TV, and they said 26 people were killed. And it took place right before Christmas, and what they did is they put out 26 Christmas trees, and they said, we have one Christmas tree for every one of these dead people, these poor dead children. But when you look at what happened on the day of the so-called shooting, which was a drill, there was a drill taking place, there were 26 Christmas trees already set behind the school. It almost sounds like they knew this shooting was going to take place and how many people were going to die, and they already bought the number of Christmas trees needed for each one of the dead. Come on. If this was a spontaneous shooting by one person, then they wouldn't have known how many people were going to be killed. And they wouldn't have bought beforehand the exact number of Christmas trees that they were going to put in a vigil after. You see, this stuff is a lie. There's a lot of lies going on. And it seems like every time these things take place, there's a drill taking place at the same exact time. So you've got to question these things. You've got to ask, are these things real? What about the Newtown shooting? Well, Newtown brought out a completely different thing. It brought out what's called crisis actors. But at Newtown, this Newtown shooting, guess what? I can't make this stuff up. There was
one of those shooters
drill.
Now dead. What's not been confirmed is whether or not that gunman took his own life, or whether or not there was something that ensued after authorities began arriving at the scene. And now the big question will be, is there in fact that second shooter, and where?
Oh, is there another shooter? Because every time this takes place, witnesses say there's more than one shooter. There are several people doing these shootings. Who are they? Why are they doing it? Well, it's weird how every single time these shootings take place, the first thing the progressive socialist communists do is, well, we need to get rid of guns, and then this won't happen. Well, it almost sounds like they were a part of it and helping plan it so that they could use that as a talking point. Because you go back and look. They just happen to go, well, we just happen to have this legislative bill right here already ready as soon as this happened. Why, let's vote on gun control. It almost sounds like they planned it themselves. You look at the Newtown shooting, it was a drill. I don't have time to show that. There was a drill involved. But I do have time to show you the crisis actors. You want to have a good afternoon? Go to YouTube and look up the term crisis actors and find out how there's so many different crisis actors that show up during this time. Here's something interesting right here. I saw this. Let's see if this is the place. Somewhere over the shoulder of one of these people that was supposedly a witness was a sign that says, check in here for the drill and things like that. Yeah, this fella pretending to cry at one second and laughing the next. You look into all this stuff and you find out something really weird. It almost, and check this lady out. Why, this lady has the worst luck. She just so happens to be showing up at all these drills and then seeing people get shot. She just happened to be at the theater in Colorado at the Aurora shooting. And then all of a sudden she just happened to be at Sandy Hook at that shooting. And then when the Boston bombing took place, she just happened to be there. She's the most unlucky person in the world. Or she's a crisis actor that's working at these drills that they're trying to lie to you and say were made up fake shootings of just some guy that out of the blue said, you know, I want to go kill some people. Maybe someone's behind this, and it's all with the agenda of trying to brainwash you. So I live in Florida. I wasn't going to say anything about this. I try to preach the Bible. But then you had to go and do it in my state? Really? And now you progressives want to send me emails trying to dupe me into helping you? You're socialist. That means you're communist. I know why you want gun control. You want to kill me. Just like you killed these kids. Now, some people say these kids didn't even die. Some of these was at Newtown or Sandy Hook or something. They have all these beautiful pictures of these poor children that died. And then you go to YouTube or Facebook and you find these kids are still alive. There's a lot of lies going on. There's a lot of lies going on. George Washington said, a free people ought not only to be armed and disciplined, but they should have sufficient arms and ammunition to maintain a status of independence from any who might attempt to abuse them, which would include their own government. Now, I'm not saying that the government is behind this. I try to find who's the one that would have the motive to do this. And history has proven that Nazis and communists are the ones that wanted to disarm people. So I say it must be communists or socialists who are behind this, if anyone. If you're a true Christian, I want you to be aware that we are in the last days and that perilous times will come. I also want you to be aware that the perilous times will be coming from the communist people, the communist regime, because the devil, the Antichrist, when he takes over the world after the rapture, he's going to make it a communist dictatorship, and he will be the one in power. Communism has killed millions. Communism is socialism. It's Nazism. Today we see a Nazi socialist, George Soros, funding all these groups, and they all have an agenda. Get your guns. Get your guns. Now, some Christians say, I don't like guns. Well, that's fine. You don't have to. Nowhere in the Bible or in the law does it say you have to have a gun. But in the law and in the Bible, you have a right to own a gun. So get one since it's your right. The last thing you want to do is be attacked and murdered and killed and not be able to defend yourself. Now the Bible is plain, perilous times will come, and that there will be a strong delusion and will try to lie to you. It appears to me that they are trying to lie to you with all these school shootings. There are too many questions about whether or not they really happened. So the last thing we need is to allow the lawmakers to take these things as excuses to pass laws against guns when there's too many questions about it. God gave man the Constitution. God gave us the right to defend ourselves. If you give up your guns, this is what will happen. 47 million people murdered by those who want to take your guns. I'm not a gun nut. I'm not crazy about guns. I'm just a guy that doesn't want to be lied to and doesn't want to see people killed. So if you're anywhere at any time and it comes, there's a drill, there's a real, run. Run for your life. Because these drills always seem to be a mass murder. I didn't even get into the Las Vegas thing. There's so many questions about the Las Vegas thing. I've talked to people that live in Las Vegas. They said there were over 7 different shootings in 7 different places in Las Vegas. And yet they say that one guy did all the shooting. How can one man be in 7 different places at one time? Someone is lying to us. And we need to watch out for that. And not allow ourselves to be duped into believing a lie. I don't know what else to say. I want you to be safe. And the way to be safe is watch out for drills and watch out for communists, socialists, progressive people, because that's who they are. They want your guns because they want to rule over you and they want you dead. Communism is revolutionism and it's bloodthirsty. There's a reason the communist flag is red, because they want you dead. Just remember, red is dead. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been a blessing. I hope, if nothing else, this will stimulate you to look up more. And this will stimulate you to find out the truth. And sometimes it's hard to find because there's a lot of misinformation. So what you need to do is you need to find the right. There's an information war on for your mind. And they want to brainwash you. I played you the clip where they said, and our goal is to brainwash you. If you're a true Christian, do not allow yourself to be brainwashed. Stand for what God gave us. God gave us the Bible, and God gave us a country based upon it, with a constitution that invokes the Creator. Do not allow a false political system that hates God to take over our country. Always vote for the true Bible-believing Christian, if there is one. If there's not, then vote against the communist, progressive, socialist Nazis. Don't know what else to say except be safe in these last days. God bless you. Thank you for watching.